I have a bit of a love-hate relationship April-ish, but apparently it's duology. It's never really stopped me before because I would just get the ebook. Maybe we did, I'm not sure. It's like... Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Femke from Fame to the Fiction on Instagram and Bookish Buddies on Twitter. And today I am here with a list of series I want to finish in 2020. The series on this list are all series that have been fully published and that I have already started reading. Most of these are either duologies or trilogies, and depending on whether it is, of course, a duology or trilogy, I've either only read the first book or I read the first two books, so that depends. The first series on this book is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I've started reading Lord of the Rings last year when I included it on my list of books that I owned that I wanted to read in 2019. I read two of the books, well, technically one. I read The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring, and then I want to read The Two Towers and The Return of the King in 2020. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Tolkien. On the one hand, I really like the books, but on the other hand, I think his descriptions get kind of out of hand sometimes, so for me it's kind of a struggle to keep reading them. The next series on this list is The 100th Queen by Emily R. King. I only read the first book in this series, The 100th Queen. This is actually, I think, the only 4-book series on this list. I have yet to read the second, third, and fourth installments, which are The Fire Queen, The Rogue Queen, and The Warrior Queen. Thankfully these aren't too big, so I will probably be able to read these pretty fast. It's been a while since I read The 100th Queen, but I remember quite liking the premise. I thought it was very original. This is just one of those books that, despite being excited for it, I just never pick up. So that is something I want to change in 2020 for this series. Then up next is the Royal Bastards trilogy by Andrew Schwartz. I only read the first book in this series, so I have yet to read the second and the third books in this series. The second one is City of Bastards and the third one is War of the Bastards. I will read this in January. This was the book Esmay challenged me to read for this month, so I will be able to get this out of the way pretty quickly. It's definitely not a chore. I really enjoyed Royal Bastards. Again, this is not super long, and I know Esmay's really enjoyed them, so I'm kind of assuming that I will too, because we tend to think the same about books. Like The 100th Queen, this is just one of those series that, despite really liking the first book, I just never continued. Then up next is a series that I originally wasn't going to include, but I decided to, you know, include it regardless, and that is Scythe, or Arc of a Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I only recently finished Scythe, the first book in the trilogy. I just finished that December 27th or something. It hasn't even been a week. I liked the book. I didn't love it. I wasn't super blown away. But that said, I have heard amazing things about Thunderhead. I've heard that it is even better than Scythe, and Scythe did leave me intrigued enough to continue on with the series. The next one is one that I really should have finished reading a long time ago, and that is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. I read Vicious early 2019, or maybe like April-ish. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and there is just honestly no reason that I have not read Vengeful yet. Now, I am aware that technically this series is not finished because the third book has been announced, but I wanted to include this because we basically have no idea when that is coming out, so until we have a more exact date, I'm just considering this as a duology. The next book is The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. The Queen's Rising was one of my most surprising books of 2019. I expected it to be pretty good, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And I have to admit, I thought it was going to be a trilogy, which is why I haven't read this one yet, because I would rather wait until everything is out so I can continue reading it. But apparently it's duology, so now I can read this, and I need to prioritize. The next series I really want to finish in 2020 is The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. Pretty much, I think the only reason that I haven't finished this series is because I didn't have the final book yet. It's never really stopped me before because I would just get the ebook, but I got this for my birthday, so there's no more excuses and I can finally finish reading this series. The next series is one that I am super excited about, and that is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I already read Nevernight, but it had at that point just been announced that Dark Dawn would be pushed back for a year, which is why I didn't continue reading with Godsgrave, because I heard so many people, well, basically crying about the ending of Godsgrave that I did not want to do that to myself, so I decided to wait. But now that Dark Dawn has finally published, I can just continue reading this trilogy in one go. I have decided that I want to reread Nevernight in order to get the full experience and to be able to read it in its entirety and not miss anything. But technically I've already read it, so I decided to hold up this book. Up next we have Finale by Stephanie Garber, which is the final book in the Caraval trilogy. I've already read the first 2 books. Esmay's already read this book, and I know she wasn't the biggest fan, which really dampened my excitement, which is the most important reason I haven't read it yet, to be honest. I didn't want to be disappointed, so I prioritized other books that I thought I would enjoy more over this one. But since this is going to be a year for me where I want to finish up reading some of the great series, I decided to include Finale as well, because I really do love the series so far. Then the next series is the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. I only have to read The Queen of Nothing. I already read The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. This is a pretty short book, so I think I can finish this pretty soon. I liked the first 2. I didn't think they were phenomenal or anything, but I like it enough to keep reading, so that is also the way I expect this series to end, to be honest. Then up next, there are 3 more series on this list that I want to finish, of which I do not own the sequels yet. The first one is the Dance of Thieves duology by Mary E. Pearson. I've read the first book, Dance of Thieves, and I have yet to read Vow of Thieves. Dance of Thieves was one of my most anticipated releases for 2019. I was pretty disappointed. I did not think it was spectacular, and I thought the romance was too heavy in that book. I've heard from Esmay that the second one is about the same, so I kind of know what to expect. But nonetheless, I really just do want to finish the series because I did like it and I just love Mary's world building and her writing as well. And who knows, maybe it'll surprise me. Up next is a series I don't think we've mentioned at all on this channel. Maybe we did, I'm not sure. But that is the A Shadow, Bright and Burning trilogy by Jessica Clues. I've read the first 2 books. I have yet to read the 3rd book. I really liked the first 2 books. I thought the ending of the 2nd book just was just like, what just happened? I really want to finish that trilogy and see how the series is wrapped up. And then the final book on this list is Everless by Sarah Holland. I just recently finished reading Everless after having had it on my shelf for 2 years, I think, give or take. I really liked it. I wasn't blown away by it, but it really surprised me in that it delivered on a lot of different aspects despite being a pretty short book. So I have pretty high hopes for the 2nd book as well, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So those were all of the series I want to finish reading in 2020. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If there are any series on this list that you have read or that you also want to finish, please leave a comment down below and tell me which ones they are. If you would like, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every single time that Esmay or I post another video. I want to thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!